very common.
And it wouldn't hurt to have a town hall or two and kind of get the community's input and put that out there and see
I think
what
that's
response we.
that's not as well known around here,
No,
that option. I don't-
every city in the Tulsa metro has a has a property tax for roads, for bridges, for stormwater. There's not one in the Tulsa metro that doesn't have it.
but
Could we do the ad valorem for some projects that we were normally gonna pay out of our general fund and then put that money toward roads?
Sure.
You know?
The only condition on the ad valorem is that we have to buy something. We have we have to own something. Whereas, like for example, with sales tax, I'm paid out of sales tax.
Everything,
But that's
yeah.
fine. You could not pay me out of ad valorem. You couldn't pay Cora out of ad valorem.
Okay.
But we could say, take something like Sixth Street and say we want to repair
Absolutely.
Sixth Street with
Absolutely.
ad valorem.
And it's not a percentage, like the school bond was a meals
Well,
percentage. This is a flat.
The way
dollar.
this is where ad valorem and sales tax are different. With sales tax, you say we want a sales tax for 2%. Let's just pick that at random, and we want that to last 10 years. When it comes to ad valorem, you start with a number. We want $10 million.
Oh, okay.
How long do we want that to go, and how many mills do we need to get there? So it's dollar amount driven, not rate or duration driven.
Okay.
Whereas sales tax is 2%. There we are. And whatever that generates, that's what it generates.
So be thinking about that. That's something we need to address. But
Thank you. Good information.
I want to move on to the bond debt since we have a special guest here. So move back on to item number 1. Come on up.
Good evening. Well, I am glad that you had the conversations you've had in the last 5 minutes, because I have material to address a lot of what you just talked about. You talked about general obligation bonds. You talked about sales tax, so I have material. I have a lot of comparison data between other communities and what they actually levy for sales tax. Give you an idea when you look at the aggregate sales tax with the county, state, and the local entities. We do this with every community we represent. We lay out and kind of show you where you fall. It doesn't necessarily drive what one community does versus the other, because every community is different. Some communities have electric systems that are large revenue producers, so that helps out cities dramatically as far as aiding them in meeting operational needs and so forth. Give you a little bit of information about our firm. We're registered as a municipal advisor in the Securities and Exchange Commission. And what does a financial advisor do? That's what we are. We essentially work with you in your acquisition of funding projects, as you've just addressed: streets, water, sewer, every type of infrastructure that a city has anything to do with. We represent multiple entities, cities and school districts, counties, water districts, so forth. But our main focus are cities. We represent about 120 cities in Oklahoma. We're in a different city every night. A lot of the cities you mentioned, was actually in Bixby last night. But you were addressing general obligation bonds. There are about 32 cities in Oklahoma that issue general obligation bonds. Obviously, school districts, that's their main source of funding infrastructure, so that's a common use, and most school districts in Oklahoma have a general obligation bond cycle where they go out almost every year so they can keep their mill levy, that ad valorem tax, a level from one year to the next, so they can market or sell that we're not raising taxes, we're continuing to address infrastructure. So I have a lot of material. I don't want to kill you tonight with material, but I want to just put stuff in your hands tonight, kind of address. I'm glad that you addressed sales tax, questions on general obligation bonds. I just want to be of the most value for you guys tonight. And so, but I'd like to just dovetail into what you were talking about, since it's fresh on your mind, and pass out a couple of handouts here that first item has to do with, you were talking about sales tax. So, I'll let it get passed around. This is a lot of information in front of you, where we tried to compare whoever we're speaking with, but to compare you with other cities that are somewhat of a similar demographic, kind of same situation. Sometimes it's just where you're located. And so how do you compare? Because some cities, it's paramount that they don't have a increase in their sales tax that puts them higher than their neighboring communities. There's always been concern that you're gonna lose business, people are gonna shop elsewhere. But the fortunate thing with McAllister is you're a hub. So if you were a community 10 miles out of McAllister and they were looking at raising their sales tax, they'd probably have a greater concern that their constituents would come to McAllister and shop if they could save 1% off their sales tax or more. But what we try to look at is some of our communities, understandably, are purely focused on what the total rate is. And I've shown you what the local existing, this is as of today, what the local existing sales tax levy is for the following communities. Not all the communities, but we felt these are more in line with McAllister. But you get to see where the local rate is, anywhere from 4% all the way up to 5%. 10 years ago, everyone said there's no way we're going to go to 4%. No one will ever go to 4. Well, here, a decade later, everyone's at 4 almost, and it's 5 is not such a odd amount to go to, because as you've heard this before, Oklahoma is the only state in the union that does not have ad valorem tax, property tax for you to operate off of. And so you fund your general fund primarily off of sales tax. And what a lot of Oklahoma communities have to do is they have to look at even dipping into utility revenues to help fund everything you have to that's under general fund, as far as public safety and so forth. But I wanted to provide this to you. It's brought up on the agenda item prior to this one, to kind of show where you fall, and then look at where you fall from a local rate to a total rate. And you guys had mentioned potentially going to I was a little more conservative. If you see the bottom of the chart, I showed you had increased to 4% back in 21 when we increased the sales tax total rate by 0.25% to pay for a substantial portion of the debt that's on your water line project. And so at that time we were 3/8 to 0.5%. I basically showed you tonight on this chart, but you guys can do your own adding on. If you were looking at adding a penny to your 4, you would see where you're at. But once again, you don't look at, if you have significant infrastructure needs, then you have to look at how do you address those, and how do you address those quick enough before you see the kind of inflation we saw during COVID. Let's pray that we don't have another pandemic that has that kind of adjustment to the cost of materials and so forth, because that was a significant cost to everyone across the board. And so
While we're having this conversation, because we're talking about infrastructure, what's our estimate if we fix storm sewer, water, road per mile? just a ballpark.
It's trillion.
Yeah, 3 million.
It's about 3 million a mile for everything.
So if we do everything right, it's 3 million a mile. And just by these calculations, adding another quarter, we already have 1.5. That's almost 1.2. you really don't gain, I mean, what, 177 lane miles?
Most cities of your size in the state have infrastructure needs of between 100 to probably $300 million worth of needs, and that's not putting up
Something new.
all of the quality of life type projects. That's sewer, water, streets.
Do you
And-
find that a lot of those cities have the same type of debt that we do? I know debt is one of our things that just
Well,
puts a stranglehold on us.
Well, the one thing, I also have a couple debt handouts that, and I'm gonna kind of dovetail into that based on what you guys had said in regards to sales tax and what's falling off and what we have. And I have information on this. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pass it out real quick here. And I can do this real quick, Dale, I don't want you getting up every time I. All right. Let's see here. Okay. I apologize, it'll seem that I'm coming from every direction. I didn't really know what we would talk about tonight, so I didn't have any organized. I had an agenda to pass out, but since you jumped into it, I thought we're just gonna hit the key.
Yeah,
There's
this
gonna be
is great.
information I'm gonna leave with you tonight, because this is kind of the front end, what I see as you needing material for you to make the most educated and informed decision going forward. What I wanted to show you is what I just passed out. If you look at the bottom, there's a pie chart, and this is a breakout of your sales tax that John had mentioned earlier. That kind of shows what falls off, what it's earmarked for. And what's key is you have a lot of infrastructure, and if you were to raise your sales tax by 10%, that's what it would take for you to address a lot of your infrastructure needs. The problem is you can only do so much pay as you go, and then you're basically looking at inflation. So how do we keep up with inflation? If we say we have $250 million worth of needs, in 10 years, that could be $350 million. And so you have to decide your prioritization. And then you have to decide where are we and what is inflation going to average annually against what we can fund now. And that's where you get into talking about the bad word, which is debt. Because what debt is for governmental entities, that's the same as Fortune 500 companies, is what do you put into place that from what can you live with? Because this is what you fight as a governing body. If you're told today that your wastewater treatment plant needs to have X millions of dollars, something needs to be done. If you're under consent order, you gotta move on this quickly. That makes things a little quicker when you have CO. It's a sad thing, but that's what gets things moving along. If you were told you needed to do something with a wastewater plant 10 years ago, and here we are 10 years later, and you haven't done anything with the plant, you might feel as a citizen, I guess you didn't need to do anything with your wastewater plant 10 years ago. The problem is, eventually you get COs or consent orders, and then you're stuck with whatever pricing is at that time. I'm not saying you can advance fund and go out and borrow money and fix all your problems. I'm just saying that nobody knows, no one could have projected a pandemic and we had 100% increase in the cost of major infrastructure projects from 2020 to 2025. On wastewater plants, on water plants, and so forth, you had those types of increases. I don't have anything in front of me tonight as to what wastewater. I know at one time, 5 years ago, we were talking $20-25 million.
So
43 for, just to bring ours into compliance.
Compliance.
One of the two.
And so, we get into, how do you address 43 million? How do you address, you've addressed water, you are 70% through your water project on line replacement. On the project that was funded back in, guys, I'm throwing a lot at you, and I'm gonna continue at future meetings, hopefully, to try to help you out the best way I can. But you're 4 years into that project, you're getting close to getting done, within a year or so of finishing that project. You were very fortunate, you did get federal funding on top of a low interest rate loan at a 1.9% for 30 years. I'm looking for someone a lot younger than me. I don't think we'll ever see that kind of interest rate again. We were in a period of time for a decade, but let's hope. But where you could borrow money long-term, that program was a 1.9%. It was a drinking water SRF program through OWRB, the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. That was one of the lowest rates for a 30-year term you're ever going to see, that we saw. And you hit it just right to do that, and you had also federal funds. Today, that would be double that rate. It'd be closer to 3.8. And so what does that mean? It means you did 30 million and change. You could only do maybe 16 or 17 million and change for the same debt payment. And so that depresses everyone. And so depression means you don't do anything. Just hope it goes away, and hope it goes away, or it's a problem for the next person that comes in after me. Whether you're a mayor or you're a city manager, you just have, let's hopefully, I just get to here. And so, but I wanted to show this chart because you have all this sales tax, but you have tax falling off. And I'm not saying, you have the tax that falls off November 30th of 2031. That penny has actually funded and will fund all your debt from, because debt was brought up. I apologize that it's, but I want everything in front of you. It's like this way, it might be easier, but these are. Okay, so that's my. Thank you. You know, yell at me if you're short, sir.
that should be good.
Good? All right. There's so much to say tonight, so bear with me. I want to keep organized.
We still have 35 minutes, so.
Pardon me?
We still have 35 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I'll speed up my conversation here, but to me, this is what I want, of anything I want everyone to understand tonight is we were engaged by the city in about 2011. We received a phone call from Steve Harrison. I don't know if you guys know Steve. That said that the city was basically broke. They didn't know if they could meet payroll. We got a call, we came down. So there was certain debt that was done for us. Whether it's good or bad, it is what it is. And one of the things that was out there was a 2002, which is the first column of what I just passed out, revenue bonds. That was done prior to us. And
What were they used for?
those bonds actually refunded other bonds that did all types of projects in the 90s.
Like a refi?
Like a refunding, yeah. So it refunded, but as you see, 2002 bonds, that means 2002 is the year they were issued.
But some of these refis, they were from 99. Is that the oldest?
We didn't, 99 actually refunded some bonds, but there were a lot of bonds that just kept rolling
Just
over.
kept rolling and rolling and
Yeah.
rolling.
And, but just to give you perspective, 2002, you see when they matures in 34. So those are 32-year bonds.
So these
That
are
re-
theoretically funded projects that are already outdated again. I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's the one thing that you have to look at is,
That's incredible, because some of this debt is 23 to 30 years old. And I know a lot of people in our community get kind of agitated with, why aren't you doing things? Well, we're dealing with debt that's 30 years old. We're dealing with debt that's older than I am.
well, it's, okay.
True.
That nobody in this room had anything to do with, and our hands are tied. It's quite
difficult to
crazy.
budget What
Well,
project?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to explain, okay, just big picture. Here's the intended plan, okay? You say 2002 bonds. Those bonds are out, they're called capital appreciation bonds. And basically what happened was they issued those bonds in 2002. It's just that anybody, it's not, we weren't involved, but it doesn't help the situation that we weren't involved in. Explain it this to you now. Those 4 years, you said, why is there just, those are out there on the 2002, why are they out there? Well, the 2002 bonds had maturities prior to that. We refunded those in 2015. Everything we could refund or refinance. You see the 15 column? We actually, when we first were engaged back in 11 or 12, we looked at the 2002, and when we were looking at the offering document, those bonds in 31 through 34 were non-callable. You could not prepay those. They're at 5.9%. You're stuck with that
Forever.
until those
Till
final
34.
4 years. And so, just like you would sit and kind of add up your car loan and your mortgage and you're lining everything up, and you know when you pay off this car, you're gonna have a little bit of money here. Well, we couldn't do anything with that. So it's been sitting out there. Other than, you say, what do you mean not do anything? Well, you're gonna pay it off, but you have a 1 cent sales tax, the one that expires in November 30th of 2031. We put this template together over 5 years ago that basically said that bond, along with subsequent notes that were done for street projects in 12, 13, and 14. 15 was actually a refunding of the 2002 bonds that we could refund or refinance in those early years all the way up to 2030. 31s through 34 were non-callable. So in looking at all of this, there was a 1 penny sales tax that was earmarked to pay on the debt. But when that was done in 2002, your sales tax that you collect off 1 penny is a lot more today than it was in 2002. And I even have a sheet on all your sales tax for the last 20 years, but it grew dramatically. But the sales tax was earmarked solely to pay that debt. We would have loved for you guys to be able to pay all that off, but we couldn't. So all the sales tax was doing in 2000, all the way up until 2012, was going into a pot, and it was earmarked by the voters to only be used to pay that 2002 debt. And there was some 99 debt. It was for paying that debt. Well, we couldn't use it to call those bonds in. And so there were street needs, so we were approached, how do we address streets? So we had that sales tax repurposed to be able to not only just do those bonds for that, the fees, the 2002 bonds, but also to do street bonds or street financings.
And what year was that?
We had that in 2000. March 12th of 13, there was an well, that's when they approved the election. But I even have the ordinance where the election was called, because all that was happening was that sales tax was being put into a pot and you couldn't do anything with it. And they said, we got streets that are falling apart and we have this just keep building up. And so we took out all of those 2002 bonds that we could, but you still had $17 million worth of bonds that we couldn't touch. Now, some might even say, well, why don't you just pay those off with another financing. Well, you're paying 5.9 and you do another financing, you add another 4%, you're paying 10% on debt. You just can't get out of that. And so what we put together was what you have in front of you, which is a template, is taking what your sales tax penny generates now. If you were to set that aside and use it for all this debt you see from 2002, 12, 13, 14, and 15, would that be enough to cover that debt? Because you look at 12, 13, and 14, that debt's falling off in pieces. You also have reserve funds under the 12, 13, and 14 bonds where you're going to apply money that's sitting at your trustee bank that you can use to make your last year's payment. And so what you're seeing here are the net payments of each one of those bonds. What's critical to you guys, there's a lot being thrown at you tonight, is you have to have foresight to look out the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years to see, it seems like a lot, but you're paying a lot off in the years to come. That doesn't help you in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, but you have to look at, let's say you do a 1 penny sales tax, or you do some other type of revenue increase mechanism. You have to look at what does everything cost now, what do we have to address that is like a consent order, and you have to decide, okay, do we just wait? Do we wrap around this debt knowing it's falling off? You have to find that happy medium between advance funding what you need to against whatever inflation costs you, you have to judge interest. If you were to do, for instance, you were to do a wastewater treatment plant, $42 million. You could borrow from OWRB, who you borrowed from back in 2000, and through their Clean Water SRF program. 30-year financing. If that's the life of the improvements to the plant, you could do that. It's a federally subsidized program. Today's rate is 3.22%. It's tied to whatever the money, it's the market, and there's a software we use, but that's today's rate. It'd be a 3.22 on a 30-year loan. If you went out and did a 30-year bond, revenue bond that you issued yourself, it'd probably be closer to 5. This is a federally subsidized program that the feds funnel money, capitalization grants every year to the Oklahoma Water Resources Board, and it's one of the top 5 rated their SRF program and their FAP programs are top 5 in the country in the program. It's a very successful state agency program for funding. You could address 42 million, but even at 3.22%, that you're looking at a substantial hit that you can't pay as you go on that project, so you have to advance fund it. So what we have to look at is, how does everything work against this debt, against how are you going to fund that? Because it's mentioned before, and this is where I'm going to be, he's jumping all over the place again. You have 42 million in sewer, but you have COs that you have to address. You have streets. Well, we have to address streets. We have stormwater. You're going to get into a prioritization, and then you're dealing with inflation. What's it going to cost now versus 10 years from now? So what we're going to look at is, one, your existing debt. How's it covered? Because the question has been thrown out there a dozen times. You have the sales tax that expires November 30th, 31. You got debt going out to 34. How in the world are you going to cover that debt past 31? Because you're going to reserve it. And this is what I talked to Sherry about 4 or 5 years ago. That sales tax goes into a pot, and that pays all of this debt to the left. And then when that debt starts falling off, you just start accumulating that in reserves. If your sales tax stays at what you collect now until November 31, you don't have any growth, then you'll have about $1.7 million left and you can pay all the debt from the 12 through the 15 note off, but that's what you have to do. That has to be set aside. But you're seeing a penny drop off. You're at 4% levy now. in 6 years and 2 months, or 1.5 months, you're gonna drop a penny. That penny brings the number that everybody talked about before. So what we have to look at is, first, how is our existing debt being covered? I've shown you here how this debt is covered. You have a we have our 2021 drinking water. I mentioned this earlier. We raised the 0.25% sales tax that generates about 1.1 million or so. The debt payments are going to be about 1.3. Our intent was at the time, and I even have it here also, we went to the voters and said, you can either have your rates go up X, or you can pass a 0.25% sales tax and your rate increase is, you had no rate increase at that time.
Yeah, it was none.
There was no rate increase, but you were gonna kick in about $200,000 out of your water revenues. You felt at that time you had enough to cover that $200,000. Sales tax was passed, it's permanent. It covers this 30-year loan with OWRB. And so you almost have to compartmentalize everything. All this debt's covered by the sales tax. Nobody can touch that sales tax. Any new governing body members, new managers that come in, do not touch that 1 penny. It takes care of all your existing debt. It doesn't make the total amount of debt you have outstanding look any better, but you do have a plan to pay that off. And so that 1 penny that falls off November of 2031 can't be used for anything else. And so that's just, if anybody had any ideas we can use some of that penny for something else, that's off the table.
Can I reiterate, call back just to make sure we're all on the same page?
Yeah.
And I really like this color chart
Mhm.
that you have here, because it kind of shows the, by 2027, that 2012 note is fully paid. Those funds that we're paying 2012 rolls into the pot and starts paying down the 2013 and the 2014 and the 2015, kind of adding on there. So when we get to the 2031, are you saying that we had been putting enough money in the pot the whole time? We're not actually having to save up in 31 and 32 and 34 because all that money has been set aside?
Well, until, yeah. So,
No balloon.
Because we can't pay them early, so we have to,
Exactly.
because we've had larger revenue increases.
and the question would be asked, we know I've gone on and on about the 2002, you can't pay those off at all. You said, well, what about the other deals? Can we pay those off? Those were non-callable, but those are at 3.25%, 3.5%. I have the amortizations on those also that pass out, take with you, because I know I'm talking through my time here. You can't beat the rates that you have on any of those other loans today.
So
Short-term.
don't pay them off and then take a higher percentage.
Yeah, so,
But to say that, the conversation that we keep hearing kind of internally is our bonds don't pay off till 2034. While that's a true statement, that
The
penny
money will be there.
The penny will be freed up in 31.
yep.
So we don't have that
And-
huge looming at us that we thought then,
Correct.
the 17.
We're-
The balloon
The balloon
issue.
holding
We're
us
about
back.
3 years sooner than we
We will
thought.
have the cash.
Apologize for the exaggeration or the extension on that. This has come up a dozen times, and it's like every 6
Yeah.
months, it's, hey, how in the world are we gonna pay all this debt when our tax falls
There's
off
no-
early?
no
This is how.
income.
Now, does that penny, when we're done paying this, do we give it back to the voters? Or
I don't understand the question.
when we're done paying off this bond debt in 2031, does that penny fall off?
It falls off automatically.
And then we'll have to go back to the
You'll have to, if you want an extension of that penny for something else, you'll have to ask the voters
voters
for
for
it.
it. Okay.
So that might lead to this 10.5, or the 10.9 or whatever we're thinking might only be for 3 to 4 years.
Well, let's
because that
talk
one's
about this
gonna
real
fall
quick,
off.
and kind of this, just to put something for you to think about. Is, we're 6 years out, 6 years, 1 month out. And so you're looking at where you're at on your local levy right now. And so if you're adding to your existing 4 pennies, then you're going to the voters and saying, whatever the case is, you're going from 4 to 4.5 or 5. But you also, and cities do this all the time, we're a little early, but they've done this. is you go to the voters next year and say, let's make that tax that falls off in 31 permanent. You say, yeah, but we don't get any benefit until 31. You have so many capital needs that you're going to have to look at a window of 20 to 30 years on those assets that have that kind of life and to fit in. And you say, well, we're not going to ask for that sales tax to be made permanent until we get right up to the edge. And that's fine, but what you're always going to battle is the cost of money versus the cost of the projects. And if your annual interest rate, if it's a subsidized program, is at 3 and the annual inflation's at 4 or 5, and it's yeah, that's what usually. Of course, we had a 25 to 30% a year inflation on this type of work from 2021 to 2023, 24. It was a huge jump in material costs. So as you think about your sales tax, just throwing it out there, it's all up for you guys to ponder, is, and this happens, we did this in Collinsville, we've done this in Chickasha, we've done this in other cities where they had a sales tax that was either gonna fall off, but they addressed it now. But listen to you talk before I even stood up here. You understand you have a lot of needs, and there aren't quick, easy fixes to anything. And a lot of time, it might, I don't know if I'd call it a fix, but if you want to avoid raising like a utility service rate to accomplish, for example, at $40 million, I even have a handout. I didn't know if you go up to 40, but on the wastewater plant, you might say, let's let gentlemen that sit here on council for quite some time, here on the edge, say, why don't we let water pay for water, sewer pay for sewer, and sanitation pay for sanitation? Why can't it be that way? So that makes all the sense in the world. If you were to raise sewer rates on average per month, per customer, assuming you have about 7,000 customers, just round numbers for you guys to look at tonight, and you were to go through the board's their clean water SRF program at 3.22%, the average bill would have to go up on 40 million, not 42, $24 a month per customer. And that covers a 30-year loan. Unfortunately, you don't, and there are cities that have a lot more customers and those have a lot less. Say, John, you talked about all this, but when it comes to 24, let's talk sales tax. And so let's keep that from going to $24 per customer per month. And let's use sales tax, and then we'll figure streets out later, and we'll figure this out later. What happens is those projects keep getting moved around, but understanding, as you sit there, oh my God, how are we going to afford that? Now that's the average cost per customer. We do rate models and so forth. You might not necessarily put that on the backs of residential customers, but you might put it on the volumetric charge and everything else. Those are all the things that you have to talk about. But everything that we do is to try to find you the lowest interest rate program, give you the most options, or just give you the options that you have available to you as a municipality in Oklahoma as how you can address this. I think I'm getting close to the end of my talking time.
Got about 15 minutes, but along
I'll be
those
glad
same
to answer
lines,
questions.
and I feel like we're on the same page about things, because that's where I look at it, is if we do a penny increase, then we look at extending this within a couple of years. I mean, if we had that money today, we'd be looking at $9 million almost.
Yeah.
And imagine what we could do with an additional $9 million a year. I mean, it's almost unfathomable.
I will talk geo real quick, because as a city in Oklahoma, this is what you look at when you're looking at how do you fund. You would hope that you would fund through whatever bonds or state, federal programs like the water board's program for water and sewer and stormwater. That's kind of here. That's how you would fund it, how you would finance it. And then you'd fund it. You'd say, oh, well, we should be charging for what it costs to provide water and sewer, but everything gets more expensive. Then you have general obligation bonds. And the question was asked on general obligation bonds. This I'm not going over with you tonight because you're going to see this and you're going to want to read it and spend a lot of time reading it. But I'm going to hit some key points. Because schools do this. This is how schools survive.
When did you say we enacted the 1% sales tax? What year was that we started the 1%?
Well, it was, in 2013, we just changed the purpose.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're
we
used to
didn't-
having one
we didn't-
kind
we
of
didn't
roll
add
over.
anything. We just changed the
anyway.
purpose because
Okay.
it was,
It was already in place.
we wanted to be able, the council wanted to use that for streets, so we changed the purpose to streets.
So we've never had it fall off,
Yeah,
actually.
we've always
Yeah,
kept it.
we've always had it.
Yeah. Reality is, sales taxes never fall off. They may fall off for a period, they come back because the cost of doing business in the government doesn't just fall off, it continues, and so you have to address that, but it doesn't make it any easier. Okay, there's a lot of information here, but you see there are two areas that are shaded in orange. Is that orange? I'm kind of colorblind, but if you wanted to do a general obligation bond, I gave you a $10 million example. General obligation bonds are publicly offered securities, so you have to, it's a little more involved than a Water Resources Board loan or a bank loan. You go out and you put together offering documents, and you have a bond lawyer, you have our firm as financial advisor, then you have a rating agency that rates the bonds, and you have all these other different involved parties when you issue GO bonds. But the key thing, if you did a $10 million issue, you get about 9.77 million out of that 10 after you pay costs of doing the transaction. So if you say, well, what is 9.77? How much does that hit our property owners? And that's what's in this orange box to the right. If you take example home values, forever we used to have 100,000 and okay. That made it more palatable, but it became more ridiculous after a point. And then we went to 150. I kept 150. That's almost, I don't know what the average price in McAllister is, but let's say it's probably closer to maybe 250, just average. You can see your first year, the way ad valorem tax GO bonds work and the way the state statutes work on levying for ad valorem tax for paying back GO bonds is you pay a level amount of principal every year, and then the interest goes down as you pay the debt down. It's not like your car loan where your payment's the same every month, because your principal ends up going, as you pay down, the more of your car payment goes to principal and less to interest. It's not that same way with the way state law is set up for GO bonds. So your levy's a lot more that first year than it is year 5, 10, 15, or 20, depending how long you go out.
Do you see a mix of where we may do like 10 million in this, and this is what ad valorem goes up, and say we add $1 to the water bill? Do you see kind of a mix, or does somebody typically go, we're just going to go get 43 million with bonds?
Here, I see everything. We have been asked to bring everything to the table. Here's the one thing that Oklahoma used to build. I wasn't around when I speak of this, but prior to the 1950s, cities grew in their development of housing and so forth, you had to have, you only had a general obligation bond to do projects, to go out and build infrastructure and build out. And there were elections failing all over the place, that citizens said, I don't care, I don't want any, we've got 100 houses here, or depending on the community. And so they came up with the idea of public trust, because public trusts are not guided by the Constitution as to debt limitation. So you can go out and so you create a trust. GO bonds work well, but they work best when you get them on the books. Because once you get them on the books, it's an avenue. You may say, all right, we're gonna use GO bonds for streets, or for public safety facilities, or whatever. Did I do that? So if you look at having an equitable allocation of burden, you look at, there are only 32, I think, cities that have GO bonds in the state, and about 20 of those are major issuers that issue every year, and we represent about 15 of those. And but you had cities that forever, Oklahoma City forever didn't have general obligation bonds, and they finally said, we cannot keep up with streets. Oh wait, there's a 2.8 billion or whatever election today for Oklahoma City to address its needs. They realized that being at zero, and you had other cities that were at a 10 mil or a 15 mil, that they had to get in there, and they just kept the mill levy about the same, between 15 and 18 mils, but they were able to just keep an ongoing source to address this. I'm a financial advisor. I help put you guys in debt. I help you with this. Don't think I don't understand about how all of this is onerous on a citizen. I do. I understand how, well, we've never had GO bonds. That's only for schools. That's fine, but you fund it in other areas. And eventually you end up raising things that don't make sense. Now sales tax can be used for whatever you want. And sales tax is very palatable. And a lot of communities choose sales tax over GO bonds and over utility rate increases, because they said people from outside. But what you have to think about is this, is no matter how much of your sales tax comes from outside people that come in and shop, you have to think individually is how much sales tax do you pay in your household here in McAllister? How much do you pay sales tax on? You pay it on electric, you pay it on all your retail purchases, you pay it on any kind of services that are taxable. You have to decide, yeah, I probably spend, I don't know, $2,000 a month that it's taxable. And if you raise it by 1 penny, that's $20 a month you pay. And that's what we always show is sales tax costs me $20, but this costs me less. The thing with GO bonds, you're at 151 million net assessed valuation based on your most recent valuation by Pittsburgh County.
We're at 5 till, so any final thoughts or quick questions? Really appreciate you coming and enlightening us. That was a lot of information to digest. We'll definitely have you back.
I will leave the material with your staff, and be glad to talk to you anytime you need.
Thank you. We'll officially adjourn this meeting at 5:05.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break and reconvene in 4 minutes. All right, Cora, will you call the roll?
Counselor Gilmore,
Here.
Woodley,
Here.
Stone,
Here.
Roden,
Here.
Boatright,
Here.
Mayor.
Here, and we have a quorum. I don't see anybody here to do our pledge invocation. Councilor Gilmore, will you do that for us, please?
Stand for the pledge, please. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for invocation. Father, we honor you for this night, God. We honor you for this city. We thank you for everybody represented in this room tonight, God. God, we ask you that all the business be done decently in order to bring you glory and make this city upon the hill as you've called it to do so. We thank you for this day and the people in this room. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
We'll move on to recognitions and awards. I have a proclamation tonight. Glasses on. Whereas dyslexia is the most common learning difference affecting as many as 1 in 5 individuals and is characterized by difficulties with accurate and fluent word recognition, spelling, and decoding. Whereas early identification and evidence-based interventions are critical to ensuring that children with dyslexia reach their full potential in school and in life. Whereas educators, parents, and advocates in McAllister and across the state work diligently to provide the tools, resources, and encouragement needed for students with dyslexia to succeed. Whereas raising awareness of dyslexia helps reduce stigma, increases understanding, and promotes greater support for the academic and personal growth of all students. Whereas October is designated as Dyslexia Awareness Month, providing an opportunity for communities to recognize the strengths of individuals with dyslexia, celebrate their achievements, and commit to creating inclusive environments that foster learning for every child. Now, therefore, I, Justin Few, Mayor of the City of McAllister, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Dyslexia Awareness Month in the City of McAllister and encourage all citizens to learn more about dyslexia and support the students, families, and educators who make the difference every day. And I'm trying to put on this for you. All right, and I think I have some people who want to take a picture. You'll make me stand up here by myself, or?
Come on, baby.
All right, awesome. Here, you want to hold it in front of me here? Squeeze on in. Squeeze in.
Smile on 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
Don't go anywhere. Paper wants to get one.
Get one of y'all.
All right, excellent. Y'all can fight over who gets to keep that.
Good job.
Thank you all for coming out. I also want to recognize our finance department. And tell me the exact name of the
Certificate of Achievement of Financial Reporting.
Certificate of Achievement of Financial Reporting. And this is 11 years straight. We were afraid we weren't going to get it. And we made it, and to me that just speaks immensely to your department and everybody there, Kara, and the transparency in our community and what we do, and we really appreciate how hard you work on that. And we don't want to do the numbers.
We just learned that.
Yeah. We just had an hour course on why we need you. All right, we'll move on to citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Residents may address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda. Residents must provide their name, address, and ward. Council requests that comments be limited to 5 minutes. What sheet did we have? Mr. Donathan, do you have anything specific or non-agenda?
No, Mayor, I've put my name down. I thought I might think of something, but I'll just say briefly that I'm proud of the mayor and the city council, and everyone seems to be kind of getting on the same sheet of music, and the city's got a lot of problems, and you're working together, and I'd like for you to keep that up and keep things going. I know in a positive manner. McAllister's got to come back and get better, and I think you're doing a good job. All you councilmen and everybody involved work together, and we'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody that wasn't signed up? All right. If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by city council and being acted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Does anybody need anything removed? If not, I'll take a motion. Councilor Gilmore, second Woodley. Cora, would you call the roll?
Counselor Gilmore?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Boatright?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. Move on to public hearing. All persons interested in the ordinance listed on the scheduled business shall have an opportunity to be heard in accordance with Article 2, Section 212B of the city charter. Tonight we have two. We have one on the budget, and then we have one on an R3. What was that? C2 to R3. I'll take a motion to go into a public hearing. Motion, Councilor Gilmore. Second, Councilor Stone. Corey, call the roll.
Counselor Gilmore?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Boatright?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. We're now in a public hearing. Would anybody like to speak on the budget? Would anybody like to speak on the C2 to R3? Seeing no one, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing. Motion, Councilor Gilmore, second, Councilor Boatright. Corey, will you call the roll?
Counselor Gilmore?
Yes.
Boatright?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. We'll now move on to scheduled business. Item number 1, discussion and update to the city council on Keep McAllister Beautiful. Mr. Bill?
Good evening. David Deal, East Hereford Lane. I'd like to introduce Lacey Fields, who is our executive director, starting as of today.
Congratulations.
Welcome. Tabitha, our vice president. You have to introduce yourself.
Tabitha Howell, Krebs America.
We're here tonight to briefly speak to you about a new initiative that Keep McAllister Beautiful is starting. Over the past couple of months, I guess I should be over here, correct? Over the past couple of months, we have become aware that there is a shortage of community service volunteer hours for those who have been ordered by courts to serve community service. And we found that we can help those people, connect them with projects. Keep McAllister Beautiful has been doing projects for years. We do one small project every month, and that's just not cutting into the backlog. And we believe that working with the court systems, the county court system, drug court, and others, we can help create, help remove that backlog and work toward beautification of the city of McAllister and keep them with Keep McAllister Beautiful objective while helping people who need to do community service get their hours in. I'm going to turn it over to you now to talk about projects that we may have.
Okay, hi, good evening. I do have a couple of handouts. I only have 3. I'm gonna pass those around for anyone that might be interested. What that is, David and Ken was kind enough to welcome us to meet with him a couple of weeks back. This document was prepared ahead of that meeting, just kind of outlining the type of projects that we are hoping to complete, hoping to partner folks with. Just to give you an idea, of course, we are putting our own projects together, but we are also open to anything that you see that we can help with. Reach out to Lacey and we'll get it plugged into our project bank, so to speak, and hopefully get that to completion sooner rather than later.
And it's not limited to just those who are court-ordered to serve community service. We have already been contacted by students in the school and other organizations who are looking for volunteer hires to put on their resume.
It's excellent.
Very excited.
We have a lot of projects.
We
I
do.
know,
Welcome.
Mayor, you generate a lot of.
Drink your remarks.
I guess
One of
we
my
can take
headaches has made the
questions.
list. I'm really happy.
Do y'all have any questions or comments
No.
on that? Appreciate you putting the program together.
Yes,
It's
fantastic.
That's great.
definitely a good need, and it takes many hands to do the work we need in the community, and this will really help out.
We've been busy, we're excited, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and welcome to the team.
Thank you so much. I'm coming into such a fun new project, so I
Yeah,
love it.
it's a great organization, and we'll try not to overwhelm you in the first 2 weeks.
Great.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, move on to item number 2, discussion of possible action on an ordinance amending ordinance number 2845, which established a budget for fiscal year 2025-2026, repealing all conflicting ordinances, providing for a severability clause, and declaring an emergency.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I've got 6 different budget amendments that, just to kind of give you a little bit of the update, closing out the year for 24-25, ended June 30th. We are required to keep those books open till September the 30th, in order to accommodate any invoices or any kind of remittance that we would need to make, to meet those requirements by law. So even though that we're already in October, these budget amendments are for 25 and 26 because of closing out that previous fiscal year. We, even though we're currently working in the new year, we have to wait for adjustments to be made, and so that's why we're bringing these to you now. So the first one is with our landfill. I know that you guys have already kind of talked about this particular project, but we were allocating funds here from fund balance. This was to cover the expense on the dozer that we had purchased not too long ago for $147,000. Exhibit number 2 is with airport. Here we're just allocating $18,000 from fund balance, increasing those revenues and increasing the expenditures to cover additional costs for the new terminal that we are soon to open. Then exhibit number 3 is the airport grant. That this is for not the terminal, but for the taxiway. That it's already been brought to council for approval. This is a huge project that will totally do a rehab of our taxiway. So increasing the revenue that's coming in with that grant, and then the expenditures for the contract that you have previously approved there. Exhibit number 4 is with tourism. Again, this one actually is appropriating funds from the Mullen Park project that we have been working on for the last year or so. So this is allocating funds to finish out that project, get that taken care of. And then we also have space that we've had to where tourism and economic development are moving out to the terminal. And there's a lease associated with that for that space. Number 5 is stormwater. Here we are just simply reallocating funds from one capital outlay line item to cover other expenditures that contracts prior to the budget being approved have increased on. Number 5, excuse me, sorry, that's number 5. Number 6 is infrastructure. Here we have, using fund balance and, supplementing appropriations to continue the projects that we had from the previous year and, the new projects that are being identified, which is also part of your packet tonight.
Any questions, discussion? Motion to approve. Motion Counselor Rhodes, second Counselor Boatright. Cora, would you call the roll?
Counselor Roden,
Yeah.
Boatright,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Woodley.
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, and the motion carries. This has an emergency. Take a motion to approve the emergency. Motion Counselor Gilmore, second Counselor Stone. Cora, would you call the roll?
Counselor Gilmore,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Boatright,
Yes.
Woodley,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 3, thank you. Discussion of possible action to authorize the mayor to sign the work order in the amount of $17,000 for Infrastructure Solutions Group LLC to proceed with the engineering services for water treatment plant Clearwell overflow relocation.
Mayor, council, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. This work order is actually a continuation of a project that I've had at the water plant. The discharge permit at the water plant from the backwash water, the new permit added some chlorine requirements in there, that there's no chlorine can be discharged out of those ponds out there. We did an engineering report, did a study that DEQ approved, and what we discovered, the source of the chlorine was on those old concrete clear wells out there, is that when they would periodically overflow and or be drained, that water went to the backwash ponds. Well, that's chlorinated water that we're sending to town. So in order to comply with the consent order that came about to this, to eliminate the chlorine out of that discharge, we came up with the idea of relocating that overflow so it does not go to the pond, it goes to a different direction. And so what this work order is for the design, to get the DEQ permit, and then roll into construction. And right now we've estimated the project at right at $150,000 total. But all you're approving tonight is just for the engineering design to get started.
Any questions? Motion. Nope, question, go ahead.
So the problem is the chlorinated water is getting into overflow ponds, or?
What you have back there, and I'll kind of basically explain, you've got a backwash pond back there. So when you backwash the filters, that water goes back into a pond where solids will settle out, and then the water's discharged.
Okay.
The water that's discharged is monitored, measured,
Yeah.
and you have to take samples from it to comply with the discharge limits. That water that leaves those ponds has a limit for no residual chlorine detected in it. So the only water that's getting into that pond that has chlorine is coming from the clear well.
Okay.
The water that's being backwashed through the filters doesn't have the chlorine in it.
Okay. So this water being diverted someplace else?
Yes.
Are we gonna have problems with the EPA saying, hey, we can't be giving chlorinated water out?
It's
over
just
there?
like any tank in your system, all over the system. If there's ever an overflow of a tank in town, they're monitoring it. This past year, so for the first 6 months of the year, we've averaged maybe one overflow a month, and it was for like less than an hour.
Okay.
So the only other change is the drains of the clear well, which did go back to the ponds, that won't be going that direction anymore. But again, draining of the ponds is for routine maintenance, cleanings and things like that. It's very intermittent, so that water's no different than a fire hydrant in town.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Motion to approve. Motion Counselor Boatright, second Counselor Gilmore. Cora, will you call the roll?
Counselor Boatright,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Woodley,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Roden,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, and the motion carries. Item number 4, discussion and possible action authorizing the mayor to sign a change order number 4 for the water treatment plant high service pumps project for utility maintenance contractors LLC with no cost modification. Hey, I like that.
It's a no cost,
It's a
yes.
wash.
There is contingency funds in the project that's paid for, but ultimately it's a wash. What this adds in is It was identified, we focused mainly on the pumps, the electrical for the pumps. We're nearing the end of all of that, so we shouldn't have any major surprises. And the piping that those pumps pump into, it's a large 30-inch diameter pipe. That's got a lot of rust, a lot of corrosion, and what this will do is clean that up, paint it, so it'll extend the life of the concrete header. So we're painting it, but then we're using contingency money to pay for it, so it's a net zero. And there still is some contingency money left in the project as well.
How's all that coming as far as when we can switch over to those pumps, or have we switched over to one? And
Look, you know what the schedule is?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good, okay.
We are looking at approximately somewhere within the next 2 weeks. We're going to be doing a shutdown on our generator as well. They're going to be wiring in the ATS, the automatic switch. They are pulling wiring now as we speak, and they're getting ready to finish pulling the 3-phase. And as soon as they get that done within the next 2 weeks, we'll be switching over to the 2 pumps that will be connected, and then we're going to begin work on the other 2 pumps. So we're looking at completion hopefully within the next 3 months.
how many pumps do you typically run at a time?
One. We'll
Just
run
one.
one. But we have one running, we have one for backup, and then we have 2 for maintenance purposes so that we can rotate, you know.
So we'll have 4 pumps set up, ready to go.
Yep. Yep.
What's our estimated savings with electricity? Top of your head, just for fun.
I had the figure, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But I mean, back whenever we first discussed this, we had brought out the figures, but I'd have to find them. I don't want to tell you wrong.
It's hefty though.
So, yeah. And it'll be a good cost savings all the way across the board for everybody, so.
Yeah, that's excellent. Easier on the system.
Yep.
Yeah, great project. Any further discussion, questions? Motion to approve. Motion, Counselor Boatright, second Counselor Gilmore. Corey, call the roll.
Counselor Boatright?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. On to item number 5, discussion of possible action to authorize the acceptance of the Environmental Protection Agency's community grant in the amount of $5 million for the DWSRF/EPA project number 19A, B Street Water System Improvements.
This agenda item is to accept the money, so this is a good thing to have. This is something staff has been working on for several years since it got awarded to the city. A lot of red tape you've got to go through, environmental checking and clearances. What this project is one of the main transmission lines, backbone of the city. If you recall, we've got new water line up to Electric in Hickory, right in that area. And there's an old 16-inch water line that goes up B Street, all the way across town, all the way over to the Seminole Water Tower. When it has breaks, it has leakages, it causes major shutdowns. This will replace that line from Electric Avenue on B, all the way across town, across railroad tracks, across highways, up to the Seminole Tower. And then it also has a little leg that crosses another railroad over to Main Street. So you've got a good solid backbone of a 16-inch water main to transfer water all over town. So total project costs about $5.5 million. We've got $5 million from the EPA, and then our DWSRF funds are covering the balance of it.
That's phenomenal. How long is that?
You would have to ask that. I don't know the mileage. It's like 15,000 feet, I think, so
Yeah,
roughly
still,
3
that's-
miles.
12,000.
12,000, okay.
12,000. That's a lot of water line.
And how long will this project take?
Construction will probably take the better part of a year. We've already time-consuming parts of getting the railroad permits. We've already got that done. The plans are already completed. Staff has reviewed them. We're getting ready to send them off to DEQ for permitting. This is one of the check the box, accept the money, so then we can get in line to go to construction, go to bids, which will come back to the council for award of bids.
That's excellent. Counselor Stone?
So does the water line go right down the middle of the street, or is it off to one side?
It currently goes right down the middle of the street, most of the way.
So we get a new street out of this?
Well, we're gonna try and put the water line on one side or the other to try and avoid, in the future, when you ever have to work on the street, we don't want the water line under the street, so we're moving it on the outside. Everywhere we can, some places we can, but
Good try.
Well, as long as it doesn't look like South Main.
I was gonna say, the original, you just leave it in place and just.
it'll be abandoned in place, cut out in places where it needs to be, but really.
That way we're not disturbing the street. and
We're
slowing
not
down
disturbing the
traffic.
street except for minimal on tie-ins, but the new line will be on the side of the road. Similar to what we did down Hickory. If you remember down Hickory, it's on the side of the road. And along Ashland, we've got it on the side of the road. Just get it out of the road. You know, back when there were only dirt roads, nobody thought about it. You know, it's 80 years ago.
Is that all? We got our money out of it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Motion to approve. Motion Counselor Boatright, second Counselor Rowe. Corey, call the roll.
Counselor Boatright?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. On to item number 6, discussion of possible action on ordinance amending the general zoning ordinance accompanying map thereto, known as General Zoning Ordinance Number 1843, by changing classification of zoning district for lots 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and the west 30 feet of lot 26, block 10, Conway Addition, Pittsburgh County, State of Oklahoma, from C2 to R3 multifamily dwelling district. Ms. Bethany?
Timed that legal description perfectly to be able to hand this out. Yeah, that actually wasn't planned though. I guess when the agenda packet was amended, the color maps were omitted from it, so just for consistency and transparency, I've included those, or I've handed those to you. And that was what was in the agenda packet. So this rezoning, is 2.9 acre property located at the corner of North 11th Street and Electric Avenue. This one went to Planning Commission on September 16th, and they voted unanimously 7-0 to recommending approval of this rezoning application. And staff just recommends this. It seems to be a good transition from the commercial and the multitude of different, zoning districts in that area. There's already R3 to the north, there's R2 to the south, and it seems like a good fit for that area. The applicant plans to include 30 units of apartments. He already has another development over in Krebs that has done really well, and he plans to include the same type of apartments on this property. So staff does recommend the approval of this application.
Quick question for you. There your request is this big C2 right here?
Yes, that's correct.
On the back, there was something pointing to the R1 over here.
That is because that property was actually rezoned January 14th of 2020, and somehow it was dropped off of our maps whenever those other maps were done. So I had included it in the packet.
So this is part of?
No, that is a prior zoning, and that is a map with the prior zoning. And it is, yeah.
Okay, I get you.
It was zoned to C2, so that map is C2, and it was done in January 14th of 2020.
Okay, perfect.
Are these single-story apartments?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I'm through.
Just like the ones that are behind it, similar to?
Probably similar. This builder and property owner, he has some on electric that's over in Krebs, when you go past the Easy Mart, kind of in that area. But they are single level, and I think he said that they were gonna be quads.
So it's basically gonna be the same thing that's over there.
Very
moved
similar.
this way.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Motion to approve. Motion Counselor Boatright, second Counselor Woodley. Cora, would you call the roll?
Counselor Boatright?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, and the motion carries. Item number 7, discussion of possible action to grant the Public Works Department permission to move forward on an overlay project estimated to cost $525,000. The following streets were indicated problems in the IMS program: South F Street from Delaware to the dead end, Southeast Street from Chickasaw to Cherokee, Southwest Street from Cherokee to Delaware, East Morris from Main to 2nd, East Court from Main to 2nd, East Park from Main to 2nd, North 3rd from Morris to Court, East Park from 7th to the dead end, Cherokee from 3rd Street to 6th Street, and 2nd from the railroad to the canal. That's quite a lot of street projects.
Good evening, council. Yes, we're trying to move ahead here. That one is from 2nd Street, it's from the railroad to the canal. We're basing all of our data on IMS study that you guys moved forward on, so we're utilizing that as our main reason we pick these particular streets. Number of factors went into our decision making. Number one, the IMS report, they're all very poor construction, the sharpness of them. Number two is the amount of maintenance that the street department's having to go over, pothole, digging. I mean, they're just relentless on them. So these are some ones that's the worst. Also, it was mentioned a while ago about utilities, not in the road. We appreciate utilities in the ditch for sure. So these are ones that there's one in particular that we have new utilities in it, new gas, new water, and it's ready for overlay. We shouldn't have to mess with it for many years. But that's our main way we came up with a decision. Also, you might be looking, they're kind of clustered. There's in First Ward, I think we got 2nd Street in Cherokee. Then we moved over in the 3rd Ward, which the wards make any difference. I just kind of making it easy for you to see where they're at. But there's a few streets over there. And then we moved up off of Main Street. The reason we did that, we can actually get more street product, more asphalt on the ground, if you would, by moving the systems in compartmentalized activities. If you pick up a new street, you have to move your trucks, your lay-down machine, all your machinery, all that stuff has to be moved every time you go to a different area. So this actually, it makes it more feasible for us to pick a location, do what we can, move it to another location, get what we can, and the other. So we're going to have 2 moves. The contractor, if we're able to move forward, we'll unload. He'll have 2 moves after that, so we'll actually get more asphalt on the ground rather than have to pay them for moving a lot of stuff. So it makes sense. We'd like to do this overlay at least a couple times a year, but we know how the budget is, but we got to start somewhere. And so we're wanting to move forward on this, and we got a little bit downtown, we got some neighborhoods, so we're trying to do the best we can with what we have.
Do you know how many feet or blocks?
It's almost 20 blocks.
Almost 20 blocks.
Yeah. So we're moving. Of course, it's estimated. It's not a concrete price with it. So we have to do with contractors. We have to do the bid. They had to bid the price of rock, the price of oil at the time. So we're saying ballpark probably $525 to get this, around 4,000, 4,400 tons.
That's excellent. And all overlays?
Yes.
Any questions?
Brian,
Discussion?
where does McAllister get its asphalt from?
Actually, there's 2 asphalt plants here. There's one Apex south of McAllister by the Turnpike, if you're going towards Savannah, and then JOB, which is located in Hartshorn. Go Hartshorn down Lake Road, like you're going to Lacey, it's right there before you get to Lacey on the left, north side of the road.
Last time I asked that question, I was told multiple places. So thank you for a direct answer.
Any questions? Motion to approve. Motion Counselor Boatright, second Counselor Stone. Corey, call the roll.
Counselor Boatright?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Woodley? Yes. Roden?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, and the motion carries. Item number 8, discussion of possible action to approve the county detention service agreement between the city of McAllister and Pittsburgh County Criminal Justice Center. Mr. Hurt?
Good evening. What we brought tonight is obviously a contract to work with the sheriff's office to house detainees for the police department. We've had this for 20 years. The last copy that I have signed was 2013 by Kevin Priddle and Joe Kearns. I met with the sheriff a few weeks ago. We wanted to update it. They've done a study, a cost analysis, and it costs them roughly $55.10 a day per detainee in their jail system. Our price has been $44, like I say, for a couple of decades at least. The last time we signed it was in 13. It automatically rolls over every year. The sheriff didn't want to ask for a haul $55.10, where we worked really well together. He said if we'd split the difference with him at $50, he thought that was fair. And since we haven't had change, he asked if I'd bring that before the council. Some things have changed in the city too, to where possibly in the future we might be able to bill on some of this, and we needed to get it set in a contract of a flat price. The old contract was $44 per day per detainee for up to 10 detainees. Anything over 10 detainees, they would charge us $70 a day. As long as I've been here, we've never had more than 10 people in the county jail at one time. So it's a moot point to even have that in there. So this contract, that one paragraph was removed from the old contract. The only changes is the price from 44 to 55, or to 50, and taking one paragraph out about having 10 beds, and the sheriff would have to notify me once we got to 8, so we would slow down or whatever. But we don't put that many people in jail at one time, 2 or 3 typically. So that didn't need to be there, so we took it out to make it cleaner.
Any questions?
I make a motion, we approve.
Chris, you have were you making a
Oh, I'm
motion?
sorry.
How long does a detainee usually stay in?
3 days is what the contract's for. We'll keep them there for 72 hours. At the end of 72, the way they bill us is we don't ever get 72 hours, but the most we can keep them there is 72 hours on one of these. Now, if they're in there on county charges, that's separate. If they're on a city charge or on a city warrant, we will not keep them there longer than 3 days. If they can't post a bond within 3 days, our judge will OR them, and then they'll get another court date to go see the judge again and start all over. But we won't keep anybody longer than 3 days, 3 billable days.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And that's in the contract too.
Okay.
Councilor Roden made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second, Councilor Boatright. Corge, call the roll.
Counselor Roden?
Yes.
Boatright?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yeah.
Woodley?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, and the motion carries. Item number 9, discussion of possible action authorizing the mayor, Justin Few, to approve and sign the project agreement with Jackson Mechanical Inc. for chiller replacement at the Carl Albert Building in the amount of $149,779. Mr. Hill.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We have a problem with the cooling system at the federal building, and with our budget, the sensible way to go out is this way, to put a new chiller in. We've been fighting it all summer. We fought it last summer. One chiller, I can't tell you how old it, but the one that we was using, I think was put in the 40s. That's the only date I can find. So it's been there for a really long time, and there's no fixing them, no Band-Aid them. It's gone.
Is this on that free building?
Huh?
Just on that free building?
Yes. You know as well as I do. There's nothing free in life. Nothing. But I really need y'all's help, or I'm liable to end up in the county jail.
It's October.
Will this fix the courtroom common?
Yes. Yes, it'll all tie back in. It'll be a chiller system, but the chiller will be out on the outside. It will not be in the basement any longer. It will be out on the outside, and it's a 60-ton unit.
Any other questions, discussion? Motion to approve. Motion Councilor Woodley, second Councilor Gilmore. Corge, call the roll.
Counselor Woodley?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Boatright?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
On to new business, any matter that's not known or which could not have been reasonably foreseen prior to the time of posting the agenda in accordance with section 3119, title 25 Oklahoma statutes. Do we have any new business?
We do have new business. We can take that to the end.
Oh, okay, we do have new business, but we'll bump that to the end. Then we'll move on to staff reports. Have any staff reports for me? Nope. No staff report. Interim city managers report.
Just a couple points. I think everybody's aware that the American Lion has announced that they will be moving into the industrial park. We have the contract that was sent. We are going to put it on the next agenda for council's approval to sign. That will be their commitment to us and our commitment back to them. As you know, we've kicked off the month of October with a Sober October event that took place over the courthouse. A very successful program, and I think the governor has recognized Ms. Ward's efforts as well. So that's good on our city. Got some good spotlight for that. Airport Terminal Open House is currently scheduled for the public on the 25th of October. We're actually having an official ribbon cutting ceremony on the 24th, on the Friday. We have some out-of-town guests coming in for that. There'll be some speech making, and we'll be showing off our new facility. Kudos to Billy and Eric. They've worked really hard to get it open and ready. I think as of today, they're operating out of there. Is that right? Did I understand that right? Okay, good. Yeah, so they're now actually operating out of the new terminal. And the last is the Choctaw language signs. We're making progress with those. Good publicity on that, so thank you.
All right, remarks and inquiry by the city council. Councilor Gilmore, Woodley, Stone.
American Lion is holding like an open house or a town. What is that date?
Sorry, that they will be doing a town hall at 6 p.m. at Kaimichi Tech on
November
the 6th of November.
Yes.
So if anyone has questions, please feel free to come.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Anything else? Roden?
I'm gonna go back to the special meeting we had on October the 6th, and citizens of McAllister having trouble getting on the sewer line. You know, we approved that $108,000 for stone wall and railroad tracks over there, and I asked, is this gonna get McAllister Monument Place sewer to their place? I was told yes, and apparently that was inaccurate. It was told to me in this council, because Ken called me or texted me the next day before noon and said they can't hook them up to it and stuff. So the biggest emergency to me that we have in McAllister is that business down there getting their sewer hooked up, not the railroad tracks down there. So anyway, I called Corey and I said, put on the agenda that we rescind that vote. And we should probably do that too, because we were told something that wasn't true in this, to me and this whole council. And anyway, immediately they get down there and start working on that for nearly 2 days down there. And then I pulled it off of the agenda. Me and Ken talked about that and the work stopped. And he explained to me about manhole stuff that I really don't understand. But anyway, the sewer is on the east side of the street. The business is on the west side of the street. They've got to go under it, and that's at the citizens' expense to go and cut the highway to get hooked up to the sewer?
It's within the 300 feet of that manhole, so
Okay,
yes.
all right. Well, John, would you, on the next agenda, would you change that, however that is, and make no citizen have to pay any more to get hooked onto the city and the sewer in the city of McAllister? That isn't right that one person would have to pay, probably cost several $1,000s to cut across the street like that. That's the same way it is over in my house, across at my front of my house. So would you put that on there, and we'll put it to the vote that no citizen has to pay any more to get hooked up to a sewer? Thank you.
Are there manholes on both sides of the road there?
No, the manhole's on the east side of the road. What we had talked about doing was the city would take the obligation to
Mr.
bore.
Manager, too much, okay.
Too much?
Yeah,
Okay.
Gotcha. Anything else, Councilor Roden?
No.
Okay, vote right.
I want to thank the Tommy Hills crew or whoever they had come fix some streets where they'd been sinking in all over town, and they've done a good job over in my ward, and I appreciate them taking care of that. Thank you.
Move on to mayor's comments. We had a couple of nice parades. We had the homecoming parade and the Indigenous Peoples Parade, and that turned out to be a really nice event out at Chaddock Park. Then we had the football team and the band and cheer and Palm and Peppers all come out down to the bandstand and had a really nice event downtown. The away game's coming up, but if you made the game Friday night, 55-0, so the Buffs did pretty good. So come out and join us at the next one. At our band contest, so this was an invitational, so I think you had anything from 3 or 4A to 6A. In the 5A category, the McAllister Band came in first. What do you call that? It's the, I went blank, it's not like the semifinals, but qualifying. Came in first. They had the best color guard, best music, and best visual on that, and then turned around and went to finals and pulled second on that. So really, really good year. And if you haven't seen the show, come out and see the show. It's absolutely phenomenal. It is a great show. Talked a little bit about the American line announcement. Really want to give Ken and Billy a big shout out on this. I know for the general population, and it's one of my frustrations is government does not move fast enough. Always just trying to get across the line. It seems like it takes forever, but we have literally been having this conversation since September of last year. I mean, that's how long some of these deals take, and we're just now to the first agreement of moving forward. So please understand how much we work in the background for these projects, and it just takes time. I mean, there are so many conversations and vetting and seeing what utilities and space and studies and everything we have to bring those together. But that has been a long project, and I've toured their facility, talked with their CEO quite often, and I think it's going to be a really great company to come in. I know we're going to have the town hall to visit about it a little bit more. The number one concern that seems to come up is any kind of water contamination, and just wanted to reiterate that is a closed loop system, which just means that they're not flushing any toxic material out to our water system. It's all taken care of right there. So. On that. So with that, we'll convene as McAllister Airport Authority. Motion to approve minutes from the September 23rd, 2025 regular meeting of McAllister Airport Authority. Confirm action taken on City Council agenda item C and adjourn. Motion, Councilor Gilmore, second Councilor Boatright. Corge, call roll.
Counselor Gilmore?
Yes.
Boatright?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, and the motion carries. Now take a motion to convene as the McAllister Public Works Authority. Motion to include approval of the minutes from September 23rd, 2025 regular meeting of the McAllister Public Works Authority. Confirm action taken on City Council agenda, consent agenda item C, M in regular agenda item 3, item 4, and item 5, and adjourn. Motion, Councilor Boatright, second Councilor Roden. Corge, call roll.
Counselor Boatright?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. Now take a motion to convene as McAllister Economic Development Authority Trust. Motion to include approval of minutes from September 23rd, 2025 regular meeting of McAllister Economic Development Authority. Confirm action taken on City Council agenda item C and adjourn. Motion, Councilor Gilmore, second Councilor Roden. Corge, call roll.
Counselor Gilmore?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Boatright?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, so the motion carries. Now we want to circle back to new business.
Yes, sir. Staff will request an executive session as authorized by 25 OS 307B4 to receive confidential communication from the city attorney regarding the pending case of Bedford versus the city of McAllister in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Oklahoma, and take appropriate action in open session.
Okay, take a motion to go into executive session. Motion, Councilor Boatright. Second, Councilor Stone. Would you call the roll?
Counselor Boatright?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yeah.
Woodley?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. We're now in executive session. 6:58. Would you reiterate the motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, members of the council did convene an executive session as authorized by 25 OS 307B4 to receive confidential communication from the city attorney regarding the pending case of Bedford versus City of McAllister pending in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Oklahoma. No votes were taken nor polls cast. However, at this time, I do believe an appropriate motion would be to authorize the city attorney to settle the case as discussed in executive session.
Do we have a motion? Motion, Councilor Boatright, second, Councilor Woodley. Cora, would you call the roll?
Counselor Boatright?
Yes.
Woodley?
Yes.
Gilmore?
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Roden?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, the motion carries. And I'd like to remind you to help us control the pet population, have your pets spayed or neutered, and we are adjourned.